This is weird, right? Hello everyone, and welcome back. My name is Argonaut, and in this video we're going to be talking about the Crash and Sane Trilogy. Now, I've already talked about each individual game in the trilogy, and even Crash 4, so I won't be going into too much detail about the games themselves. Links to those will be in the description box below, but now to finish up our month of Crash, we're going to be talking about the Insane Trilogy itself. But before we get started, if you like this video and want to keep up with me, then feel free to click that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. And with all that shameless promotion out of the way, on with the video. After Naughty Dog's deal with Universal, where Universal promised to fund 4 of their games if Naughty Dog agreed to develop for them, finished with the release of Crash Team Racing, Naughty Dog was immediately bought by PlayStation. And since Universal owned the rights to Crash, Naughty Dog had to walk away from the character that they created. After Naughty Dog left, there were other games created for Crash that came out with mixed reviews, with his last big console release being Crash: Mind Over Mutant in 2008. Although, personally, I stopped playing with The Wrath of Cortex, the jump for him from PS1 to PS2 just felt too weird to me back when I was a kid. But he would then take a long rest, not counting some mobile games, until 2017, when Activision, who acquired the rights to Crash through a series of mergers, decided to resurrect him with a remake of the first trilogy. To create this trilogy, they enlisted one of their subsidiary companies, Vicarious Visions, who actually developed some of the older Crash games for the Game Boy Advance, and also developed Spider-Man 3.
I'm going to die!
But after having to recreate the game from scratch, it was announced during E3 of 2016 and would later on be released on the PlayStation 4 on June of 2017. Being a kid that grew up with Crash, of course the nostalgia hit me and I had to buy the game when it first came out. And also, I mean, come on, it was $39.99 at the time. You can't beat a deal like that. I think the levels were beautifully remade and that Vicarious Visions did a great job with how Crash and his environments look. Although, I do think that maybe they should have kept the Warp Room in Crash 2 dark and depressing. I feel like they made it so bright that they somewhat ruined the atmosphere. And I also think a lot of the voice actors do a decent job, although unfortunately, I don't think they do as great a job as the original voice actors.
You expect to retrieve them when we don't have any Earthbound operatives left?
You fool! Do you think I'm unaware of the situation? If we don't have any friends left on the surface, then we need to find an enemy.
How do you expect to retrieve them when we don't have any Earthbound operatives left?
You fool! Do you think I'm unaware of the situation? If we don't have any friends left on the surface, then we'll need to find an enemy.
And more than anything, the voice actor for Aku Aku is Greg Eagles, the same person that voiced Grim in Billy and Mandy back in the day, and I just couldn't unhear it throughout the game.
Ooga Ooga is free?
Give me a banana!
Give me a banana!
But besides that, I thought the levels looked great, and that the voice actors did a great job. Moving on to the music of the game, all the themes were pretty much remastered versions of the originals, and it might be because I'm playing this trilogy with my nostalgia goggles on, but I just prefer the original tracks better. All of the themes sound pretty close to the originals though, so at the end of the day, if you like the original themes, you'd at least be okay with the new ones. Along with recreating things as faithful as they could to the old games, Vicarious Visions also made some changes to the games. One of the biggest is that Coco, Crash's sister, was now playable in every game. And they actually even gave her a plot-related reason for it, which they didn't have to do. Since Crash 3 revolved heavily around time travel, apparently Coco, at the end of the adventure, uses the time machine to travel back in time to help her brother. Now, at the end of the day, she's basically just a skin swap for Crash with slightly different animations, since they have the same hitboxes, and she also can't fight any of the bosses or use any of the vehicles that Crash can use, which I actually find to be pretty cool. Though, in reality, I suspect that they didn't want to create the animations of Coco on Crash's vehicles, but either way, I actually love the fact that they made Coco playable, and I played through every game with her. They also made it so that in every game, and not just Crash 3, you could actively keep track of how many boxes you had to collect instead of finding out after you finished the level. And, for better or worse, they added time trials to every game. Honestly, I never cared for time trials. I mean, I'll do them so I can get my platinum trophy, but I was never a fan of them. I also can't help but feel that some personality was lost from some of the characters when jumping to the Sane Trilogy, like...
Crash! My battery is fried. Make yourself useful, big brother, and bring an extra battery for me.
Dad, my battery is fried. Make yourself useful, big brother, and bring an extra battery for me.
And I also missed some of the intros for the games.
Crash Bandicoot 2. Cortex Strikes Back. Press start to begin.
Although I can sort of see how they weren't able to put those in. But along with all this, something that I can't believe Vicarious Visions did was they finished up an incomplete level that was in the code for the original Crash 1, but not playable, called Stormy Ascent. This level was so hard that Naughty Dog locked it in the game's code at the last second, but yet Vicarious Visions finished it and gave it out as free DLC. And this level is actually hard as balls, by the way. And they also created their own original level for Crash 3 called Future Tense, and also gave that out as free DLC as well. Now, along with all the good they did, there were two big things that I really didn't like about the Sane Trilogy. The first one is the obvious one about the hitboxes. It's a well-known issue by now that the hitboxes for Crash were taken from his model from Crash 3 and used for all the Crash games, which creates some problems with platforming. Especially in the first game, and especially with this damn bridge level. But jumps would feel off, and some platforms it feels like you should have made, you would end up just slipping off of them. Unfortunately, there's never been a patch for this, and the devs essentially said, get good. Or rather, you need to be more precise with your jumps, with the issue. But honestly, as annoying as that issue was, you'll really only feel it in Crash 1, since Crash 2 and 3 have the side jump and double jump ability, you know, things to save you. But what I can't believe is that they didn't put subtitles in this game. In this day and age, I watch a lot of anime and tend to rely heavily on subtitles. Imagine my surprise when this game had none. I mean, practically every game has the option, and I can't believe this one didn't, and that they didn't bother to patch them in. But I feel like that's probably more on Activision's part than Vicarious Visions. They probably forgot, and Activision probably didn't want to spend the time or money to have them go back and add them. But after the Sane Trilogy was released, it sold about 2.5 million units in its first 3 months. And about a year later, on June 29th of 2018, it was ported to PC, Xbox, and Switch. And funny story here, the Switch version only happened because one lone engineer at Vicarious Visions was able to port the game's first level, proving that it could be done. So thank you for your service, lone Vicarious Vision worker. But after the Sane Trilogy's success, it showed Activision that there was still a demand for the Crash games, and so they greenlit an all-new adventure for Crash, called Crash 4 It's About Time, which I actually already made a video of, and will link it below in the description. And overall, after spending so much time with it, I think that the Sane Trilogy is the best way to experience Crash's first adventures, for old fans and new alike. You may have small gripes with a couple of things, but overall, it does everything better than the original games, and then some. And, when it first released, you were able to get it for $39.99. All 3 remade Crash games for only $40. And those are my thoughts on the Sane Trilogy. A great way to bring back Crash to modern audiences and relive his adventures, and is probably the reason he's now going to get a cartoon, along with the reason he got his latest new game in over 10 years. Did you agree with my thoughts? Did you disagree? Let me know in the comments section down below. I'd love to hear from you. And with that being said, the month of Crash is officially over and I'm finally moving on to something else. If you're curious what it is, you can check out my Twitch, which is listed in the description box below, and if not, then you'll get to see it when I see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.